start? Would you like me to start? How do you want to?
Yeah, I'll start. So I'm Colleen, as everybody knows. I'm an insurance agent with Secured Insurance Group. And this is now Chats with Colleen. So it has nothing to do with insurance. We just want to talk and chat with people about their lives, their stories, their goals, their careers. It's about promoting other people and about awareness. So that's my main goal with this.
That's all very exciting stuff.
It is exciting. So this is starting now, 2023 we started it, but we're really going to launch it in 2024. So we're looking for guests to come on who want to join us.
Which we love. We love guests.
Guests, anything, any type of guest. And it's nonprofit, so I'm not trying to make money essentially on this, although we would like sponsors. But so if there is a high profile person that wants to come on and they are only doing promotional type stuff, then I would have to work out an arrangement with them financially.
Yeah. And you know, I think right now too, we're like, this is just like the beginning. Too,
yeah, it's just like day one. Yeah. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do all this stuff. So I know how to do videos and just talk, but all the other stuff I don't know.
Yes, and we're gonna figure that out. Anyway, I feel like we're off to a pretty good start though.
Yeah, really I got a good setup. I got all the stuff, and I got Sean, so
sweet.
He's gonna help me.
Yeah. So I guess maybe like as like an intro, I guess like for people who are not familiar with you, like I guess what has been your story up to now?
Well, my story up till now is I've been an insurance agent. I worked with my family in their insurance agency for almost 20 years. And 5 years ago, they sold the business so they could retire. And I went to work for the company that they sold it to. I stayed there for 2 years and it was a little nightmare. So I went to work at another company who they sold it to. And after that 2 years, I realized they didn't like it. And I went and started my own business with a couple business partners that were friends that I knew for a long time. And after 2 years, I decided to split with them because I wanted to grow my business differently. And since they were just financial partners, they really weren't helping me do that growth. So now it's been a year out on my own and I'm growing, expanding. I've hired a couple different admins, a couple people. Going into 2024, I want to add health insurance and more lines of business. The issue is right now insurance is still difficult because property and casualty in Florida is still really rough, but it's not only rough in Florida, it's getting rough all over the country. I think it's going to be rough for a while. I don't think the rates are going to be cheap like they were before. So it's just coming into a new, territory and arena with insurance. So I want to try and educate more for people to start understanding what insurance is, and not so much that I hear all the time, oh, it doesn't cover anything, it's a scam, but it's really not. Maybe there's some parts of it that are scam, but not that what I'm doing is a scam. So I want to educate so people start utilizing it correctly and it's not exploited so much, and then maybe we can have better rates.
We love all of that.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess, and it's so funny because I'm in your office obviously like quite a bit, and I'll hear some of the phone calls you take with, some of your clients, and it always seems to be this running thing of like, why is this so expensive?
Yeah.
And like, do you feel like, can you expand on that? Like, why is it so expensive? I guess like
it's so expensive.
I know that's like a loaded question.
Yeah. Well, right now, the economy, the inflation is so bad. So I think it's kind of coming down a bit, but it affects insurance as well. In the state of Florida, the insurance is bad because of all the litigations and the lawsuits. All the billboards don't really help with the insurance industry, but I know the laws that they passed recently did change some of those terms and how they are able to collect their fees and stuff. So it's the litigation is really what makes the insurance premium so high, and the reinsurance. So what the insurance companies have to pay to insure themselves. So it is expensive, but everything's expensive too. And
Yes.
so when you think about going every day to buy a $7 Starbucks, which I like to treat myself once a week because it's so
Yes.
expensive. But if you spend $7 7 days, that's not $50.
true.
Add a croissant in there. Now you're adding another $3. So now you're at $10. So your $10 a day is $70 just on your breakfast. Then you got to buy dinner, snacks, lunch, then pay all of your bills. So everybody's dollar isn't lasting as long.
Yeah.
And
it's all, I guess, and like you had said, because everything is so expensive.
It's just all relative.
Yeah.
So insurance, and then in the past years, insurance was too cheap. it's too cheap. And I know people don't like to say that to them, but it was too cheap. And then when all these claims came in, their reserves and their funds got so depleted. So the only way to do that is to raise premiums. But the claims come in, so you got to kind of offset it.
I get that. No, I think that all makes sense. And I think we've also talked about too, one thing that is so big, and we're obviously in the state of Florida, but just like fraud is so big here, unfortunately.
Oh, it's so bad. It's bad in Florida. I don't know other states. Don't have too much experience in other states, although I do write insurance in other states. But in Florida, it's like the fraud capital of the world. I don't know why. I think some of our laws and some of our stuff is a little bit laid back. And so it's why it's easy. You can set up business pretty anywhere. But, the fraud doesn't just run like, with the roofing, like everybody says roofing, like people need roofs. So it's not always a scam. People do get hurricane damage, but it's the way it's kind of went about. And I think it works on all parties, the contractors, the client, the insurance companies, and the adjusters and the lawyers. It all works together, because they're all getting paid from it. So we got to just educate and teach people to maintain their properties, insure them properly, to make sure that they don't wind up in a position where they feel they have to do something like that.
I think that all sounds good. I do. And I it's funny too, because you like specifically work with so many like property investors and like house flippers and developers and these like bigger businesses that are dealing with large sums of money and really expensive properties. And I think a lot of the content we put out is really, I feel like, geared towards them. And I think also too, just like the independent, person, like just a normal
general public, because everybody needs it. And a lot of people don't know about it. They don't understand, I need insurance. Like I was talking to this gentleman, he has an IT company and he helps people like outsource their, customer service needs, and he didn't have insurance. But I was like, it just makes you look professional and it makes you stand out, like you're concerned, you care, and you're responsible. You get a little cheap liability policy, you present it to the client that you're trying to get the job with, and it shows that I care about what I'm doing and I care about other people.
That's right. And if anyone has crazy stories of insurance claims, it is most definitely you.
I have a lot of crazy stories, not just about work, but some of this just my life in general. Some of the stuff that happens, people say I need to wear like a body cam at all times.
Just to like capture all
the stuff. Because when I'm telling people, they're like, what? I'm like, well, you just kind of had to be there.
You missed out, unfortunately.
You missed it, but it's crazy stories, but these are real. It's like, you can't like make it up.
Yeah. Do you think maybe you could like, just for this first episode, like maybe give us like a little sample of like maybe like a crazy story, like you could like, I guess, tell right off the bat?
Oh God, there's so many. Give me some bait.
I know. Crazy story. Like maybe like as it relates to like guns or like.
Oh yeah, this is a client store, but I'm sure there's other ones. There was a client got an inspection and his yard didn't look bad, but the insurance company wanted him, of course, to tidy it up. He had some loose tires around, some trash and things like that. And he's like, well, I want to know who's on my property. I'm like, the insurance inspector, you already knew, and we talked about this. Okay, you're right. Well, if anybody MFer comes out here, I'm going to get my MF and gun and kill them and want them off the property. And I'm like, okay, I understand you're upset, but it's simple things. I just need some pictures.
Yeah.
He got the pictures and they got reinstated. But before he was like, I just don't want them to cancel me. I'm like, it's not what you said last week. You were cussing and things like that. But it's just like being considerate, just and nowhere. And then it's like, at our office, there's an elevator, right? I use the stairs because I'm trying to get steps. We're only going up 2 flights of stairs. So it's not... But I do come up, carry my bag, and I'm like huffing and puffing. But
that it all counts, though. It all counts.
Yeah, 1 or 2 steps. So sometimes you go to the elevator, and if you're coming out of the elevator, I think it's like courtesy to like for the person who wants to go in to go on the elevator, go down, to let the person who's in there come out
first. Yeah.
So we're like banging into each other, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like, hi. just so rude, and it
Yes,
happens all
yeah.
the time. So it's just like people are just so rushy.
They are.
And like I was telling you, this time of year, I always feel so rushed. I'm just so like anxious. It always happens around like Christmas and the holidays, and I'm just like, I can't. There's not enough time. I can't get everything.
Yeah.
I don't have enough money. They're not gonna like the gifts.
No.
It's not enough. You know, my son's not gonna like what I get. Is he gonna come home? Is my husband gonna cooperate? You know, it's just like so many
Yeah,
things.
it's a lot of things.
It's a lot. And then I
Yeah.
noticed this week, everybody's just so like, they're just so in a rush.
They're on
and
edge.
they're on
Yeah.
edge. Yeah. And it was, and I talked to a lot of people, not just at work, like
Yeah.
in my office, but everybody. And they're like, yeah, everybody seems so like uptight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just hoping everybody can relax.
They need to take a chill pill.
Including
They do.
myself. I'm like, what can I do? I went to the gym. I'm
Yeah.
trying to cut back on the caffeine, just a medium coffee instead of a
Yeah.
large, and breathing.
Just like taking a breath.
Maybe get a massage.
You deserve a massage.
I have
like,
a whole bunch of them loaded up at Hand and Stone, and my dad got me one.
Oh, that's very
with my
nice.
birthday, a massage and a facial. I just have to make time. So I'm thinking about doing it next weekend.
Yeah. You
Before
have
the
to
new
do it.
year.
Yeah. No, you know what? And I'm your friend. I work with you, and I don't think people see like you actually, and like we joke about it, but it's real. You work all the time.
I work all the time. I have my
Yeah.
computer back here. I have my phones. Any second that I can get, I'm doing it. But it's not just now because I own my own business. I did this before. I did
Yeah.
it when I worked for, with my parents. I did it when I worked at that other agency. That's always how I've been. I've always just been a go-getter. I've always been like very like, we got to get to it.
You're dedicated.
I'm dedicated. And even so, like going to the gym and stuff, I make it a priority to go to the gym because I feel like it's important. I wish I could get there more, and like my dad said, well, you should be able to. You should be able to go in the morning. Those people can wait. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're right.
They
It's
can
just
wait.
setting
That's true.
boundaries for yourself too, and for other people to let them know, like, hey, I have a life too. Like one client asked me yesterday, are you going to be working Christmas because you own your own business? And I'm like, well, I think I should be allowed to take Christmas off.
Just maybe that one day of the whole year. I think I might deserve that.
And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah. And I'm like, my mom was probably rolling up there in her grave saying, what the hell? Yes,
No,
you're not
poor
going to
Charity.
Miss Charity.
But she would actually, yeah.
She would say that. Oh my
yeah.
God, it's ridiculous. But yeah, so yes, I'm taking Christmas off. I may probably answer some emails and stuff like that and get up because I'm trying to get caught up. It's the
Yeah.
end of the year. I'm busy, thank God. So
And it's amazing. You're so blessed in that sense. You are.
yeah,
it's
I'm
very
so
exciting.
happy.
But I think it's also too like it is a testament to the fact that you're just so dedicated and you really do go above and beyond. I feel like for a lot of your clients and
I try.
and
I mean, and
appreciate
it's
it.
difficult. It's difficult now. It's difficult, like I think, in any job because
Mm-hmm.
it's so like demanding and it's so taxing. And I think everything, a lot of people don't understand like any job because I know my job has a lot of steps and it's a lot of processes and a lot of processing, but I'm sure everybody else's jobs. So I try to be, respectful for other people's time too, for when I'm going somewhere, to hopefully show up on time and, reply back timely.
Yeah.
When I'm, working with another person.
Yeah. And and too, because of like, especially with a lot of, I think some of your clients, like when they're looking for like, because as we all know, like right now, specifically as it relates to homeowners insurance, it's just so expensive. And I think people, they'll like get into these homes and I think that is one thing that they don't really account for in their budgets. And I've seen it. Like I've literally seen you take calls with people like when they're just astonished at the rates that are coming back, like for, to insure their property.
Right.
And that, and that's just with like just general coverage. It's not even extreme limits.
It's not
or
anything crazy and it's not
No.
even an extremely, house. It's a normal average house.
Yeah.
And yeah, if the average insurance is $4,000, $4,000, it's actually a little bit more the average
Wow.
in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
So if your insurance is less than that, be happy. If it's more, then maybe we can work on it or anywhere. There's always a way to work on it and cut back on something.
Yeah.
But, it's something important to have. And so we have to go from there and figure out the best scenarios. But we really need more insurance companies.
We do. We need more providers.
Providers,
correct? Yeah.
yes. Insurance
Like,
providers, insurance carriers, whatever. It all means the same, but we don't have enough of them.
And that's just something that just hopefully we'll get, because and
They're coming.
they're coming. Unfortunately, this past year or 2 years, they've kind of been leaving.
It's kind of leaved, and then there's the
Yeah.
leftover of, lawsuits and claims that take a couple years. And there's still people, contacting lawyers for, roof claims and stuff, because we did have a hurricane this year.
That is true.
Hit here. And
Yeah.
even though it didn't hit us as hard as it hit last year with Hurricane Ian and Nicole, but it did hit certain areas of the state that weren't super populated, but they haven't really been hit. And so, it's all just a balancing act. But, we live in Florida, so people should expect it too.
They actually should.
So when a hurricane
Yeah.
comes, you shouldn't be freaking out. Like, you should be prepared all year round, because last weekend, I think we had a tropical storm.
We did actually. Yes, we did.
And we were out to
yeah.
dinner and
We're out to dinner.
sitting outside in a
Yeah.
patio, but it was covered. But, so we live here. So we made do, and we still went out and did our party, and we had a good time.
And we did. And we had a really good time. The rain did not.
And we made it home safely. Yeah.
All of us. Yes. No, that's very true. Yes. No, I saw, I don't know. I feel like maybe, as this podcast continues and like evolves, I think people will maybe get a sense more of like what is actually involved with insurance and insurance claims, and like why the industry the way it is, why policies are so expensive, and all the contributing factors that make up, I think, a lot of the issues that you face every single day.
Right.
It's, and I get it. Like I personally, I own a condo, and I'm like, I think I shared with you a few weeks ago, I just got a non-renewal.
Right.
Because my insurance company, they're just moving out of, I guess, my area. And it is unfortunate. It's, it stinks. But I also understand it's a business too. And like, they have to make money.
It's just like anything else.
Yeah. Like, and it's unfortunate. Like, and of course I have a mortgage, so I have to have
You
a
have to have
policy.
it.
Yeah.
And even if you didn't have a loan, I still recommend having it, because something can happen.
Yeah, which you've like, and that's actually something so crazy, because until I started working with you, I myself did not know a lot about insurance, and we had talked about a few people that you would come to you, they own their homes outright, and that they did not have policies, and really extreme things would happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was an investor that he's getting sued for from a 2021 tenant. So somebody from a couple years back said he was bit by bed bugs.
Wow.
And injured. And so they listed him in a lawsuit and the property manager. However, the property manager is held harmless by their lease, but the client, doesn't have insurance. He's from out of country, and he's having a hard time finding an attorney to get back with him.
Wow.
So I don't know what the demands are, but I don't know too much about bed bugs. So I'm going to research that, just because I always thought bed bugs, you like bring them with you.
Yeah.
Like, when you go to a hotel, they kind of climb in your suitcase. It's
And
nasty.
yeah, because they travel home with you. I
They
know.
travel,
Yeah.
and then I know they do bite, and they leave nasty bites. I don't know, if you can get an infection. I imagine it's not good.
There was, it's funny. It's so funny you say that, because a few weeks ago I was with a friend of mine, and he was talking about, because there was like an outbreak at like some airport. I don't know if it was like in some country, and there was like, and I am like destroying the story because I don't really know all the details, but regardless, there had been like an outbreak like in the travel industry of bed bugs, and like they were telling, there was like a traveler's alert for people to be wary of like actually getting bed bugs. And his family, he lives in Orlando, but his parents were visiting him from Pennsylvania, and he took all of their luggage and he put it in like a bag to like
you have to like
kill.
suffocate
Yeah,
it.
to suffocate
So
it.
that would be a good idea to get somebody who's like an exterminator or something to come on
Yeah.
here and talk about bugs, because
That would be amazing. Yeah.
in Florida we have bed bugs can be in any state, but we have influx of termites because we have all the rain, it's damp, and then obviously roaches, spiders, ants, carpenter ants. All the carpenter ants can eat up your wood, and you can get German roaches. I remember this girl that worked in our old office had infestation of German cockroaches in her house.
That's
I'm not going to mention any names.
No,
but
of course not.
But
She knows who she is.
but it's it's hard to get rid of it. And I know this is Chats with Colleen, but we're talking about insurance today because Sean's my guest.
Yeah.
And but insurance does not cover any type of insects, rats, bats, any type of that, or roaches, cockroaches, bed bugs. But it would cover injuries to others. So if you had liability insurance and your guest was at your house and they got hurt, injured by the said bugs, or animal.
Like rashes and stuff.
Yeah, like if they was, they got rashes, they, suffered mental anguish or something from those bugs, and they sued you, your general liability would respond because that's injury to others.
Yeah.
As far as like an animal bite, not always the same, like a dog or a cat. But if it was like you got sick from like the rat droppings because it's very toxic, your policy could cover for that. So it's just really intricate to look at it and make sure you have proper coverage, because we live in a weird area now. And there was another, I had the bed bug call. Then right after that, I had another call about a tenant being shot and killed in a dispute. I don't know if it was a love triangle. Yeah. It was just, one letter. So there wasn't much details. And the property owner, she's like, I know that they're just reaching to get money, but how is it her fault that she owns the property? They rent the apartment and they got into a fight, a love triangle, the two guys and the girl, and one of the guys is dead.
Were they all tenants?
I think two of them were, and somebody was just like a
third party.
I don't know if she was cheating on him.
Wow.
Yeah. So a crime of passion. We don't know.
I shouldn't laugh. That's terrible. I'm sorry.
It's terrible. But I mean, at the same time, the guy's dead, and now she's gonna get. I don't know if she's getting sued, but they want to, research her insurance to see what her liability is and if she has it, so they can know what they can get for the estate.
Wow. Mm-hmm. But that's so crazy to me, because like you said, and like she had said, like it was something that happened between them. Like, right. It wasn't like
how could she prevent it?
Yeah. How could you?
She's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. She owns the house, and it happened at her house.
And so she's
got to be distraught too, because it happened in her property. In her home, yeah. And she's like,
someone literally died at her property. I know. Yeah. That's so terrible. Oh my gosh.
And I heard another story about kids drowning in the pool. 2 kids on the same day drowning in a pool. Terrible. So, it's just crazy things happen that are horrible. A kid, you shouldn't ever have your own 2 of your kids drown on the same day in your pool.
That's wild.
How do you even, I don't know, how you even go on with that?
I don't think you can.
I don't think you could ever mentally recover from that, but yeah.
And I'm assuming those were the kids of the homeowner.
Correct. And apparently they were, meth addicts or something. So it wasn't a good situation, but it's still really sad.
That is really sad. Oh my gosh. Well, no, and I think, as a segue, like you're going to talk about sad things on this podcast.
I know, it's reality. And speaking of sad, my mother just passed away a little over a month ago. That.
Yeah, she did.
And it was sad, but at the same time, it was beautiful for her because she got to pass with her whole family there. And my aunt and her husband were there, and they weren't expecting this to happen. But like they say, we were expecting it, but we weren't expecting it like that. She was sick for 5 years with a rare disease. Alzheimer's variant.
Like a form of Alzheimer's.
But not essentially like the Alzheimer's that people think about, how they forget who you are and everything. She didn't forget everybody. I think the last thing she said the Tuesday before she passed was, "Where's Colleen?" And she knew I was at work. I was like, "I'm coming. Tell her I'm coming." It was after 5, but she was asking for me. And so she knew, oh, Colleen, but she's kind of was like going back in time, like, asking for babies and asking, oh, are you expecting a baby? And I'm like, no, Mom, I'm 45. I'm not, I'm not having a baby. Yeah. He's a grown man. Oh, okay. Yeah. But she didn't forget anybody.
Yeah.
She would even say, oh, Sean, you love him so much. You talk about him all the time. And I was like, yeah. And then she said that. And then she would say, oh, Chris, he's my favorite, he's their only grandchild. So of course he's their favorite. But she didn't forget like people or things or events. Like I would talk to her about stuff. Oh yeah, I like that. Oh, but it was more like her body was shutting down. Yeah. The brain with the communication between like there's normal things you forget that you don't even think about. Like you don't think about, oh, you drink water and you just automatically swallow the water.
Yeah, naturally.
She wouldn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so that stuff. So when you can't swallow water, it's just kind of like not many options for you. So she went peacefully and we're happy and we're sad at the same time. Yeah. But I know that I don't have to worry about her being in pain anymore, and I think that was the worst. She said everything hurt and you don't need to be in pain like that.
No, that no one deserves that. And I know like a lot of people don't know this. she'd been battling with this for 5 years.
For 5 years,
correct?
ever
Yeah.
since they sold the business, she was like, leaving. Like her body was, a little bit. And what happened is she went blind first. So her vision started changing. But it was just, she always had, problems with her eyes. She wore hard contacts. She had a cornea transplant. So we thought she needed another cornea transplant. But the doctor was like, no, it was something with peripheral vision. It started with her peripheral. Like she couldn't really see, like it was like she could see if it was right in front of her, but not like on the side. And she had a problem with numbers and spelling and math and all that stuff. And it was kind of like bizarre. And I would say, well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You did all this for years and now you don't know. And I thought maybe she was drinking a lot. I thought she was nervous because, they were selling their company. I didn't know if she was
Like
worried
a big
about
life
money,
change,
like a big
yeah.
life change. And then after she sold, it's like, she didn't really want to do much all the time. So she's like, oh, I think I'm just depressed. But it was really like her body, like going through this process and starting to change. And it took maybe a couple years for her to get diagnosed with what it was. And my son was the one that's like, you have to go to this doctor, because my dad took her everywhere. And she's like, I'm not going to go. I don't want to know. And then Chris is like, I want you to go, Mimi. And she told my dad later, oh, well, I'll go.
Yeah.
Because
for
of
Chris.
Because
That's
of
really
Chris.
amazing. That's
And
so
so
sweet.
he's really close with her, but he's sad. But I'm like, but she wasn't doing well.
No.
And so if it's your time, like if God wants you to do bigger things, you have to go.
You do. No, you're so right. And it's so sad. Like I remember, like I'd be in your office and you would, every day there was like something different. I
With
felt
her,
like,
yeah.
with her, where like it was a slow, I guess, step in her deterioration.
Yeah, it was slow.
essentially.
And
Yeah.
it was slow. And then at the end, it was just like fast.
It was very fast.
Yeah. And so which was good. And, it's sad for my dad. It's because it's the holidays. And I know he's, they were together for 55 years.
That's
so
incredible. I'm
yeah.
like, you don't hear about that.
No.
That's like
And
wild.
so, he's like, he's grieving right now. And he's just being a little bit, huffy, but I know why, and so I just give him space. I call him every day. I'm like, it's me. I'm coming over. And he's like, I got my babysitters. I'm like, yeah, somebody's got to watch
he's
you.
really lucky to have
He's
his
lucky.
babysitters. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yes.
it's going to be okay.
It is going to be okay. It's just unfortunately, I guess, a natural part of life.
It's a natural part of life. It's reality. And it's just different. Like I go over there and she's not sitting on the couch, but I feel better that she's not sitting there, because she was sitting there in pain and anxious and she couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So now she can see. I told my sister, she can see everything, and she knows what you're doing. So you better behave yourself.
Jenny, you hear that?
Yeah.
I'm joking.
And Jenny's going to come on this podcast
She better come on this podcast. I
and
hope
share
she does,
her
yeah.
and her fiance's love story.
Oh my god, yeah, because she's newly engaged.
And my mom got to see their engagement.
Yeah.
And so they got engaged in Rome in front of the fountains.
Oh my gosh, that's so romantic.
Yeah, and they didn't tell me when or her fiance didn't tell me when he was going to do it. I just knew it was going to happen on that trip. And so my mom just wanted to know that Jenny was going to get married, prior to, actually leaving the
passing,
earth.
yeah.
And she knew that. Even though she couldn't see her get married, she knew that it was. But my mom kind of spoiled it for her.
Did she?
I think she kind of told her something about it.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Jeff. It slipped out. I think she kind of told
We
her
can
something.
cut that if you want.
Yeah, about the ring. But she
Did she
thought,
really? Oh,
because he
no.
came over and was asked for her hand
Yeah.
in marriage and them. And of course they said yes. And then I think my mom it was like she thought it already had happened.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh,
Innocently.
do you have something to tell me? That's what she told Jenny,
Yeah.
innocently. And Jenny's like, it was so sweet. So
Oh my god, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
though. That's really amazing. I'm happy your mom got that experience of just having that.
yeah,
knowledge,
I
like
mean, that's
knowing her daughter was gonna
important.
get
So I don't
married,
think he
yeah.
would be mad.
No,
Mr.
I
Jeff.
do not. I
No,
don't think he would. I
he
think that's
wouldn't.
really sweet. And It's a really beautiful story. It is.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
I know. So it's Christmas time. And then today I'm actually going to get a tribute tattoo to my mom.
You are.
Yeah.
Explain this tattoo because it sounds amazing.
Well, it's going to be on my right inner forearm, I think this is
Yes,
called.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's going to be a surprise. So I'll be sharing it.
Okay. Because you have to subscribe, whether it be on her YouTube channel, or when we're still figuring out as far as like the distribution of this podcast. It will be on many different services, anywhere you can find podcasts. It's, for the first episode, we're figuring all that stuff out. But
Right.
yes, you do have to follow along and subscribe. But of course, you can always stay up to date with Colleen on her socials, whether it be her Instagram with Colleen Insurance Lady 22, or the official Facebook of Secure Insurance Group, which is just Secure Insurance Group on Facebook as well,
Yes.
which is where you will see little bits of all the content from this new podcast, which is in the works, which is so exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
I'm excited to do something new.
This is really new. Like, this is like, and I'm very excited.
I know, and I like to talk, so it's like perfect chats, and I like to talk
Yes.
about everything because that's how I learn stuff. I ask questions, you learn, and I love to talk. So I know my husband's probably like rolling his eyes, but I'm gonna get him on here one day and share his story.
Needs to come on.
Yeah,
Yes,
how he came over here when he was 14 from another country, didn't know any English, and how he's a restaurant, manager now, with one of the top sales in the
And
country.
he's very successful.
And he is. So
yeah.
and I don't even know if he's graduated high school. I mean,
That
he
is so
says he
wild.
has, but I know he was a rough kid. So it just goes to show you hard work
Yeah.
can take you places.
It can take you places, and you can't. It's not about where you are from. It's about where you're going.
It's what you're going, and
Yeah.
you as your person, your heart, with what you have.
No, most definitely. Mm-hmm. I guess. Well, so we're 32 minutes into your first episode, which is so exciting. Is there any other topics you want to discuss today?
Not today.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Do you know, by any chance, would you like to tease everyone with who your next guest might be? Do you know, or is that still?
My next guest, I have a couple lined up. I'm gonna have a former pastor, some investors, creative finance people, a title agent, my sister, my husband, my son, to share their life stories that are still ongoing. A person that runs a sober living house.
That sounds incredible.
A person that works at a cosmetic company, an electrician. So there's lots of people
That's really
that I
exciting.
have planned, but anybody else, I'm interested. Whoever wants to come on and share their story, they have a hobby, they have a career that they want to talk about, they want to talk about their business, they want to promote themselves. It's about self-promotion. I would like to leave out more or less political.
Yeah.
I don't really want to get into that
Yeah.
too much.
No, I
but
get that. Yeah.
but other than that, I'm open to anything.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's fantastic. Well, I guess, is there any last words, or is this,
No, but thank you for listening.
awesome? Well, thank you guys so much, and I guess until next time.